Hi, Orangeman speaking. If you're a fan of Fnaf series and play a lot of different Fnaf-inspired games, then you might have noticed that in these games, developers tend to use either time-based progression or task-based progression. And have you ever wondered which one is better? Well, I did, and today I'm going to figure that out. So yeah, let's go and analyze some Fnaf games. But before we start, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, it will help me a lot. Thanks. Let's continue. First, let me explain what I mean by time and task progression. For this video, I'm only talking about games that have the typical FNAF gameplay where you sit in the office and need to defend against animatronics. And in these types of games, there's usually one of these two ways of how you need to complete the nights. The one that probably all are familiar with is the time-based progression, where you need to survive the set amount of time in order to complete the night. The example for this would be the first 4 FNAF games. In all of these games, you just need to survive long enough to complete the night. Task progression is more complicated. All of these games that use it usually have something different, but it's some sort of easy task that you need to focus on and complete in order to survive the night. The most popular example for this would be Playtime with Percy. You need to complete minigames on your Tamagotchi-like device in order to progress. And if it's quite obvious when the first type of progression appeared, the story behind the other one is more interesting. The first time where we can see this kind of progression, as I'm aware, was in the FNAF Pizzeria Simulator. It was the first time where in the standard FNAF formula, you need to complete some sort of tasks to progress. And if I'm being honest, yeah, I don't really like how this was handled. It's basically the same timer progression, but this one is just more annoying. But we'll come back to that later. For now, more important is what actually made this type more popular. Playtime with Percy was the game that actually made people notice it. This mechanic in the game is really neat. It's not that hard, but it still requires your attention. It also allows players to choose if they want to complete the nights faster and risk losing, or to play it more carefully, but spend more time on the nights. This game shows that developers can experiment with how you progress throughout the night, and it still can be pretty enjoyable. I also think that the addition of POW to the game was one of the reasons why the game is generally pretty well liked. It's a really unique and fun mechanic. So now that we know origins of both of these types, we can talk about why they are still used and what are the pros of using them. The time one is pretty obvious. It's already used everywhere and proven to be a good way of night progression. It's been used in a lot of original FNAF games and even more in different fan games. If you don't want to risk it, then it's a perfect choice. You cannot really screw it up and it works pretty fine. And it also can be changed a little to make gameplay a tad bit more unique, like in A Bite at Freddy's, where you need to confirm orders, which can take some time. And I'm not a programmer by any means, but I believe that it's just a lot easier to make this mechanic, since, well, it's easier to make a working timer than a working minigame and a system to count everything and all that stuff. So it's a no-brainer why people choose this when making fan games, especially if they are unfamiliar with the engine or coding in general. So what makes people make something else, possibly risking failing at the gameplay loop, and if the other method is working just fine? The answer is simple. If the developer decides to do that, then it's a lot more likely the game will be noticed. Simply, it will make the game stand out more. But that's not the only reason. A lot of developers add interesting things to the game using this type of mechanic. For example, the ranking system, since you can play faster because there's no set time limit. Playtime with Percy or Robbie's Genesis 48, go check out my video on it, has this ranking system, and it makes these games have more replayability. And it also allows for more interesting mechanics to be added, like making some animatronics interact with the minigame thingy. Adding this type of progression just allows for more creativity regarding the gameplay. But there's also some flaws that these types of progressions have. The main problem with the minigames and the task one is how risky it can be to actually make a game based on it. As we already saw, FNAF 6 did not succeed at making the office sections good at all. One of the reasons is probably the progression system itself. It's obvious that this game is supposed to be a lot more different than the first 4 games, and one of the things being is changing how to complete office sections. But it turned out to be for the worse, I believe. You need to just wait until the tasks are done, but it also affects the main gameplay, it attracts animatronics, and it makes the game annoying. It's more unique, that's for sure, but it's just ruined all of the gameplay. But it can also be because of the other things in the office section, like, making the gameplay really convoluted in general by deleting the consistent way of detecting animatronics and to defend against them. The similar problem also appears in the other games. Jollibee's Phase 2 is another example where the game just awfully handled this type of progression. Similarly to the Fnaf 6, Jollibee's 2 has this thing where the main gameplay loop is based around the progression system. But here, it's just even worse, since the game made the animatronics super aggressive and even harder to defend against. But it's not something I want to talk about right now, maybe another day. So yeah, here the situation is really similar to Fnaf 6. And with that, we can say that if the progression system messes with the main gameplay too much, it's pretty much going to be not enjoyable. Also, as I said, it's a lot harder to add some sort of tasks or mini games to the game, so there's also that. And as a mini conclusion for this type, I can pretty confidently say that if the developers won't handle this type of progression, then it might actually ruin all of the gameplay and just kill the fun on the game. And don't think that the timer progression doesn't have its flaws. Even though it's a more safe choice, it's still not perfect. My main complaint here is how boring the first few nights can be in the game because of it. It's not really that bad, but it's one of the things that make me sometimes just give up on a Fnaf fan game, and I simply won't play it. I usually don't really like wasting time on doing absolutely nothing, and because of this, I really don't like timer progression. It's not a big problem, but for me, it's something that I really dislike in the Fnaf fan games. In the fan games where the task progression is used, I can basically skip the boring parts, while here you need to sit there and do nothing. But otherwise, there is nothing really else negative about this one, and it's probably just my pet peeve. And now we can finally answer the question from the beginning, which one is actually better? And the answer is both timer and task progression are good. You can find a lot of amazing games that use these types of progressions really well, and it's cool because there's more options when it comes to choosing what to play. I enjoy when I can complete the games fast, and I prefer when there's no set time to complete the nights because of that. Someone can actually not like it, and that's fine. When it comes to developing the game, I would say that these two types of progressions have different purposes. If the game tends to be more gameplay based, it's nice to see some sort of minigame being used. It can make it more interesting and fun. And if it's more about horror, then a time-based one is actually better to build tension, and it will work pretty good. In the end, I still enjoy minigames more, but that's my opinion and yours can be different, and I would like to hear what you think, so you can leave a comment down below. But for now, that's all I have to say. I wish you a wonderful day, morning, evening, or any other time of day. See you next time, spread the love, and bye bye!